All right, let's get right into it. You know, for most of our lives, space has been about one thing: national pride. Flags, footprints, that whole deal. But something huge is happening right now, kind of under the radar. We are shifting from an age of just exploring space to an age of using it. We're talking about building what could be the very first trillion-dollar industry that isn't even on Earth.
And when I say $1 trillion, that's not some far-off sci-fi number. Seriously, we're talking about market analysts, firms like Morgan Stanley, who are forecasting that the space economy could blow past $1 trillion in revenue every single year by 2040. I mean, that's not just growth. That's a total game changer for our economic future. So that just begs the question, right? How in the world did we get here? How did space go from this, high-stakes political race between superpowers to, well, what looks a lot like a 21st century gold rush? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so to really get where we're going, we've got to look at where we've been. The first space era, it had nothing to do with profit. It was all about prestige, about power.
Yeah, this was the government era, 100% defined by the Cold War. It all kicked off, of course, in '57 with Sputnik, which was a huge shock to the system in the West. Then you had major milestones like Yuri Gagarin's flight. But the absolute peak of this whole state-sponsored race was, without a doubt, the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. And what's the common thread here? Every single step was a massive, government-funded national project.
And this chart, this just lays out the massive shift perfectly. On one side, you have old space. Think government-funded, all about national prestige, focused purely on exploration and using these incredibly expensive rockets that you could only use once. Then you have new space. Totally different ballgame. It's privately funded, driven by commercial profit, focused on providing actual services, and this is key, powered by game-changing reusable rockets. It's a whole new playbook. So, how did we make that jump from old space to new space? Well, the foundation, the bedrock of this whole new economy right now, it really all comes down to one word: satellites.
Okay, now look at this. What's so wild here is just how lopsided the market is today. Right now, the space economy is already worth about $450 billion a year. But get this, a staggering 75% of that comes from satellite services. We're talking about things like broadband internet, GPS, Earth observation. The launch services, the rockets we see on the news all the time, that's just a tiny sliver, only about 3% of the pie.
So, what's behind this massive explosion? It's really like a perfect storm of factors. First, you've got what a lot of people call the SpaceX effect. Launch costs have just plummeted. Second, tech has gotten so much smaller. We're talking about powerful satellites the size of a shoebox, called CubeSats. Third, there's this never-ending global demand for data. And you put all that together, well, that's what's attracted this huge surge of private money and brilliant people into the industry.
And the perfect example of this new era, the poster child really, is the LEO megaconstellation. You've heard of them, companies like SpaceX with Starlink or OneWeb. They are literally deploying thousands of these small satellites into low Earth orbit. And the goal is simple but huge: blanket the entire planet in fast, reliable internet. They want to connect everyone who's been left out and, in the process, create an absolutely massive new global market.
All right, so satellites are the now. That's what's happening today. So what's next? This is where the whole thing goes from big to, well, almost unbelievable. We are talking about the next great frontier of value: asteroid mining. But here's the thing. The most valuable resource out there, it's probably not what you're thinking. It's not platinum, it's not gold, at least not at first. Water. Water is considered the gold of space. And why? It's actually really simple, because you can turn water into rocket fuel. And this chart breaks it down beautifully. You've got your C-type asteroids, which are packed with water ice and carbon. That water ice can be split into hydrogen and oxygen. Boom! You've got the most powerful chemical rocket fuel we know. That's essential for life support and for creating what are basically gas stations in space. Then you have S-types, with iron and nickel, perfect for building things in space. And finally, the M-types. Those are the ones carrying the really high-value stuff like platinum, which could, one day, be brought back home. I know, the whole process sounds like something straight out of a movie, but there's a real, logical plan here. Step 1. Find and analyze a promising asteroid. Step 2. Send a robotic mission to meet up with it and grab it. Step 3. Mine and process the materials. Right there, in space. And Step 4. Use what you've mined. Either turn it into fuel for other missions or transport the valuable metals where they need to go. Okay, so we've got satellites today, and asteroid mining on the horizon. But the really important thing to get is that these aren't two separate ideas. Not at all. They're totally connected, creating this amazing, self-sustaining economic loop that could lead to just incredible growth.
Here's how to think about it. The satellites, they provide the brains. I mean, imagine you're trying to run a robotic mining operation millions of miles away. You're going to need super reliable, high-speed communication and incredibly precise navigation. Well, guess what? That is exactly what the satellite networks being built today are designed to do.
And then, in return, the asteroids, they provide the fuel. All that water we were just talking about, it gets turned into rocket propellant, creating these cosmic gas stations right there in orbit. And that fuel can then be used to top up satellites, to make them last longer, or to build even bigger things in space, all without the insane cost of launching every single drop of fuel from the bottom of Earth's gravity well. Now look, as exciting as all this is, and it is exciting, the road to a trillion-dollar space economy is definitely not going to be easy. There are some massive, massive challenges on this frontier that we absolutely have to figure out.
And we're talking about some serious hurdles. First up, space junk. Low Earth orbit is getting crowded, and the risk of this chain reaction of collisions, what's called the Kessler syndrome, is becoming a very real danger. Then you've got massive holes in the rules. The main space treaty was written in 1967. It just wasn't built for a world with commercial asteroid mining. On top of that, there's the huge financial risk, the very real potential for conflict between nations over who owns what, and of course, the technology itself still has a long way to go.
And all of this, it brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. Because this isn't just about technology or economics. It's a legal and political frontier. So as private companies and countries push farther and farther out, who gets to write the rules? Who decides how this all works? Because how we answer that question, well, that's going to shape the future for all of us.